every morning with drive. Being on the grind, know I had to survive. We had to win. Started from the dirt and the rubble. I had to be the needle that was popping your bubble.
Hello and welcome into the Rookie Prospect Profile Series. This is a Zilla Fantasy Elite production. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to receive all of the updates. Hit the bell so you can receive every single time a video comes out on these prospect profiles. Today, we're going to be looking at running back Blake Corum in both the RStudio model and the neural network model for running backs. Blake Corum was drafted number 83 overall in the third round by the Los Angeles Rams. They come into the league as a two-time All-American for the Michigan Wolverines. And Corum is actually all-time leader in the University of Michigan in rushing touchdowns with 58, including a single season record of 27 rushing touchdowns in 2023. And that did culminate in their national championship this year. So keep that in mind with this particular prospect. Let's look at Blake Corum's physical traits. You see he comes in at 5'8", 205 pounds. We do like our running backs in general to be above that 200 threshold, despite what the neural network model likes in the smaller running backs. He does have a BMI then of 31.2, which is really healthy there. Did run a 4.53 in the 40-yard dash. Very strong dude. I think he put up 27 reps in the bench press, so he's super strong. Speed score 97.4. Those physical traits there. Putting in these physical traits along with some of their college numbers. Again, those are their college yards per carry and the college dominator rating. Yards per carry at 4.7 weren't the greatest. So when we do that, we put them into the RStudio model. We get an RStudio model prospect score of 13.371, which does rank 147th overall out of the 327 running backs within the RStudio model's database. That is the 55th percentile. So let's shift over to see who the closest comparables are for Blake Corum in the model. Closest comp there is Frank Gore. That's not a terrible comp there, but Frank Gore a little bit bigger than Blake Corum was coming out. Next best, better than him in the prospect model, Jackie Battle, Joshua Kelly, Alexander Madison, Jalen Samuels, and James Cook. James Cook a little bit more of Blake Corum's size. I think he's a little bit better receiver than Corum was coming out. And then a little bit worse than him, we have David Cobb, Damian Pierce, Mike Gillislee, Zach Zenner, and Jamize Olawale. I think out of the 11 people on here that are the closest to him in this model, I do think Damian Pierce is probably the closest comparable for him in terms of what he could potentially do. We saw Damian Pierce have a pretty solid rookie season and then get in the doghouse with a new coaching staff last year in his second season. Let's switch gears now to that machine learning model for the prospects and see how that treated Mr. Blake Corum. We see that he comes in with a minimum of 6.18 fantasy points per game as his lowest threshold if he receives 80 opportunities in a season, saying his lowest outcome in his entire career would be a 6.18 in a season for fantasy points per game PPR setting. Mean at 11.57 and median at 11.51. Pretty decent there. We can see the rank for him at 8th best in the class. It's actually slightly better than we had for Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks' minimum was better than Blake Corum, but I see Blake Corum starting to edge out Mr. Jonathan Brooks, number 1 running back drafted in the NFL draft this year. And then 90th percentile, 14.26 is actually better than Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks. And then finally, maximum output at 16.84. We do see that is the 10th ranked one in the class, but again, that's better than Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. Some of you might be wondering, well, what the heck? He's at number 10 at 16.84, and he's better than Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson. How can that be? That's just the neural network model going through, taking everything into assessment. And remember, our database is any running back that got at least 80 opportunities in a season, and then that particular player's career best fantasy points per game in a season. So taking all the information into account, that's what it's spitting out. It's saying, hey, Blake Corum, 16.84 fantasy points per game is his ceiling, and that is the 10th best in the entire class. Let's go look at what historical comps fall in that mean and median range of 11.5, and then the maximum output hovering around 16.84. All of these players, quite a few of them here, in between 11.3 and 11.65 fantasy points per game. We have Trey Mason, Carlos Williams, Ty Montgomery, Andre Brown, Alex Collins, Felix Jones, Salvan Ahmed, Daryl Williams, Jerick McKinnon, Jalen Warren, Matt Breida, Darren Sproles, and Sean Green. I would say out of here, Jalen Warren maybe comps pretty closely in terms of size to him here. In terms of draft pick, Trey Mason was the 75th drafted overall, pretty close to him. He's 5'9", 207 pounds. We have Blake Corum at 5'8", 206 pounds. Trey Mason pretty close there, ran a 4.5. I would say Trey Mason is a pretty solid comp here in terms of Blake Corum, at least in terms of some of these values. So interesting seeing that in there. Getting into the upper range, we saw the 16.84. Let's go look in that particular range what kind of running backs were roughly in that range. We're going to go from 16.42 to 17.1 as the career best fantasy points per game. And we got names like Myles Gaskin, Travis Etienne, Shane Vereen, Ryan Matthews, Trent Richardson. He hit 16.98 in his best season. Eddie Lacy, Breece Hall, currently at 17.09. And then Reggie Bush in his best season was 17.1 fantasy points per game. And that's really what the kind of player that we're looking at if Blake Corum hits his ceiling is what we saw out of Breece Hall last year in his second season in the league coming off that ACL injury. So those are the names we can kind of watch out for, the mean and maximum output for Blake Corum. And hopefully the RStudio model that we showed earlier and the machine learning model that we just went through here with the neural network give you a little bit of additional confidence when you're going into your draft rooms and kind of performing all of the analysis that you're doing for these incoming rookies, and give you the confidence to hit that draft button on the appropriate person when the time comes. That's going to do it for today's rookie prospect profile on Blake Corum. This is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Bye.